just admitted something very interesting. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what she admitted, because Bayley is on a run of a freaking lifetime right now in WWE. What she's been able to do over the last 2-3 years, heck, you could even go back to the pandemic days of what she's been able to do, has been nothing short of remarkable. And as a longtime Bayley fan, as a longtime Bayley supporter, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this video are out there as well, what Bayley has done is just amazing. Because for years and years and years, she pushed, despite being a babyface, despite being a heel, right? Whatever gimmick, whatever persona in which she had at the time, she always pushed for a group. Yet Vince McMahon, he didn't see that vision. He didn't see what she saw. And so when she got the opportunity to go to a Triple H in the summer of 2022, after he had taken over main roster creative from Vince McMahon, following the first retirement, if you will, she finally got what she wanted. She wanted a faction. She wanted a group. And so what did she do? Well, she brought back two very interesting names. Two names that were believed to be gone from WWE for good. One, Dakota Kai, who had been previously released due to quote-unquote budget cuts alongside several other stars. And then she also brought back Io Sky, who was believed at the time to be walking out of the company. Whatever you think of Bayley, you have to put respect on this woman's name. Not only is she one of the best in-ring talents that WWE has to offer, she is one of the best promo workers in the game. I mean, this woman can spit some speech, some promos, if you will. And that is partially why fans are so connected to her. It's also, she's just a likable person. I mean, that's what got her over in the first place in WWE, right? You go back to her NXT days. You had the Izzy fan, remember her? When she came out, she was this lovable Bayley, I'm talking about now. Bayley had this lovable persona. She was a lovable baby face, right? Almost teenage-esque. And everyone knew, well, okay, this gimmick has a little bit of a shelf life. Let's see how she can progress. Let's see what she can do with this character. She would come out, she'd have the inflatables, right? She had the music and everything like that, and she was a star in NXT. And she was a star on the main roster, but I really... And I'll get back to this, the pivotal moment. What was the shifting moment of Bayley's career? Well, I'll tell you more on that in a minute, but let's get to today's video. What did Bayley recently admit? Well, she was on The Bump where she was doing a recent interview, and she said this following her successful title defense at Backlash. "Friends, I want to know what's next. I'm excited to see what's next. I got the first title defense out of the way. I want this to be different than I've ever done anything before. This year, I think, cements my legacy and who I am and what I bring to WWE. Obviously, I still have a lot to work to do, and I think I can show the WWE Universe and to show Triple H and to show everybody that I can bring what I can bring and who I am, and I'm excited for that." Huh. Interesting. What should you take away from those quotes? Well, cement my legacy. Think about that. This woman is looking to make history. If you look at Bayley's career up to this point, well, she's starting to get her flowers, right? And let me get back to that pivotal moment. That pivotal moment in her career was that heel turn a few years ago, shortly before the pandemic. She was the star of the pandemic era in WWE. She was hands down and leaps and bounds better than a lot of people in that element. I thought Randy Orton was phenomenal in that. I thought he did some of the best character work of his life. Bayley, that was... I don't want to say peak Bayley, because I think what she's doing right now is really, really good. But like, if you look at the character arcs of it and her peaking and her alliance with, Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Moné, that was really a turning point for her career. I think it set her over the edge in a good way. It put her over in a bigger spotlight, because even going back to NXT, Bayley was always the overlooked fourth person of the four horsewomen of WB, right? It was Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Mercedes Moné. And so, even to the point where when those women were called up to the main roster, who was left in NXT? Well, it was Bayley, right? Of all people. And yeah, she had that amazing takeover Brooklyn match with, Sasha Banks and everything like that. But she was always kind of like the afterthought. And so when we got this group, it was like, oh, no. Bayley is now forefront. She is the star. She is the leader. And that was special for someone like me and someone like you who has followed Bayley up to this point. And so when we go into 2024, well, she became the star in WWE, right? From winning the Women's Royal Rumble match and really getting in line to where she needed to be. Because that win got her to the point where she needed to be. She won the Women's Royal Rumble match. She earned the right to go to WrestleMania 40, challenge for a championship of her choosing, a challenger in which was more credible than most, right? I absolutely loved the women's matches at WrestleMania this year, right? You had Bayley ultimately choosing Io Sky and winning the women's championship from Io Sky, which was such a beautiful, beautiful storyline, right? You had the intertwine, you had the inner feuds of those two characters, right? Because you had an Io Sky who Bayley had brought back to the company and had brought back into the faction and really morphed what Io became. Well, Bayley had a huge influence on that, had a huge impact on that. And then, of course, Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley for the women's world title. Just phenomenal feuds. And so coming out of that, now we have this interesting alliance, almost like frenemies, where it's Bayley and Naomi, and then you threw in Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton's so good in her roles right now and what she's doing. And I think if you look at where they're going with Bayley and this character in this championship reign, it's a lot of fun because there's so much talent in WWE, right? With the women's division, especially both Raw and SmackDown. They're loaded. There's depth to these rosters, and so she can work with Jade Cargill's and Tiffany Stratton's and Naomi's and Rhea Ripley's and Becky Lynch's and Charlotte Flair's and all these women. And it's just like, this is so much fun. It's a fun time in wrestling. It's a fun time, especially for women's wrestling. And it's a fun time for Bayley. And I look forward to seeing what they can do with her next and go from there. So let me know down in the comments area below, what do you think about Bayley's push? And I will see y'all in the next video.